Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of I on Hakko. My name is Nicole.
Hi everyone, my name is Kenta.
And today we will be talking about the CHP DPF-200.
Yep, that's right.
Which is a manual depaneling system.
Yes. CHP brand of quality assembly tools, just to give you guys a simple explanation, is like I said, it's a brand of our quality assembly tools. We carry stuff like cutters, hand tools, pliers, tweezers, electric torque drivers, and this CHP manual depaneling system as well.
Right, which is a manual process, and there are other manual processes that people tend to do, right?
For
Kenta?
depaneling, yes, there are. Some of the manual methods they can use is hand breaking the circuit boards off of the panels. They can use manual cutting tools. They can also use pneumatic cutting tools. If the circuit boards have V-grooves on them, they can use what we call a pizza slicer, which is two rotating metal blades, and run your circuit boards through the blades, and then they will then cut the circuit boards off of the panels. So all in all, different methods that you can use.
But with these different methods come some downsides to them. If you're doing a manual process, you can potentially stress your board that you're working on.
Right. There's pressure being created when you do some of the manual methods, and the pressure creates stress on your printed circuit boards. So many customers try to find an alternative solution, looking for a higher end automated routing machines, but those can get pretty expensive.
And they can take up a lot of space.
A lot of space, more programming involved with it. So that's where our DPF-200 is a good solution.
Absolutely.
For those customers.
Yep. We don't have, if you notice, the DPF-200 with us in the studio because it requires air.
Shop air.
Right. So what we did was we pre-recorded a video for you to check out in the meantime. So let's go ahead and go to the video.
Hi everyone, Nicole and Kenta here. We're here down in the American Hakko's training room today, and this is the DPF-200.
Yes, our CHP DPF-200 is our manual depaneling system that is made to depanel individual circuit boards from a panel.
That's right.
There are other manual depaneling methods, right?
Right.
So we want to make sure that you understand the difference and why the DPF-200 is best.
Manual depaneling methods consist of methods like hand braking. That's one method you can depanel a circuit board. There's also, if your circuit boards have V-grooves in them, you can use what we call a pizza cutter slicer type to cut the V-grooves off of the circuit boards. And there's also the manual hand tools that you can also use to cut the tabs off of the printed circuit boards as well.
But there's a downside to using these manual depaneling techniques, and that includes damaging your panel board.
Right. Some of the manual methods can put pressure and can cause stress on your printed circuit boards during the process. That's why many people, they try to look for alternative solutions.
Right. They look to get something that's an automated depaneling system, which can mean more money. It can take up more space, and it can just be overall just
too much to deal with.
Yes,
you also need a lot of programming involved with these automated depaneling systems. But our DPF-200, it uses the same type of milling bits that are used on these automated routing machines, but since it is a manual system, you're able to get it at the fraction of the cost of those automated routing machines.
Absolutely. So Kenta, let's get into some of the specs of the CHP DPF-200.
Sure. So we talked a little bit about the milling bits. The DPF-200 uses the same type of milling bits that are used on the automated routing machines. So all you have to do is insert the bit into the spindle. You put the base in, tighten down the screws, and then you put the guides on top of the base. So we have several types, variations of bits available for the DPF-200.
How many types of bits do we have?
Size of the bits range from 1.5 millimeters to 2.5 millimeters in size, and as you can see, they come in a pack of 10. We also carry a variation in the types of bits available. One type is for the standard FR4 type, which is the commonly used material in the printed circuit boards. And we also have a different type of bit that can also cut through metal core, aluminum core boards as well. So now that we talked about the bits that are used on the DPF-200, let's talk a little bit about the interchangeable guides that are used on the DPF-200. Along with the bits, the table uses interchangeable guides, and these guides help the operator guide the circuit board to accurately cut the PCBs.
And there are custom guides available.
Yes, we do have custom guides available. To give you an idea of what a custom guide is, when customers have to cut through circular boards, then we would need a custom guide available. And in those cases, we ask that customers send in sample boards to us so we can correctly assess the type of radius that is on the circular boards.
Right.
So we talked about the bits and the guides, and now you'll notice that there is an opening behind each guide, and that opening is for the vacuum tube. This vacuum tube, which attaches directly behind the guides, like so. This is when you're working on depaneling the individual circuit boards, like so, and all that PCB dust gets produced. That vacuum tube is collecting all that PCB dust directly from the source down into the vacuum pump and into the dust filter underneath the table.
And if you notice on the table, this is our external vacuum hose that's used to clean up any of the remaining dust particles around your table as needed.
Right. And it's connected to the vacuum pump underneath.
Up under as well. The vacuum tube collects the PCB dust at the source and sucks it down into the filter.
Right, and the filter can be easily replaced. You can replace the filter by opening up the canister by those 3 hinges, taking the filter out and replacing it with a new one. Now we recommend you keep several new filters on hand for easy replacements.
The table has ESD zinc coated front feet, heavy duty rear locking casters, and is made of steel, providing a nice sturdy working platform.
That's right. And the tabletop is laminated with ESD safe coating. And it also has a couple of grounding points for your wrist straps.
Right.
Now Nicole's going to demonstrate how to use the DPF-200.
I am. And if I can do it, you can do it. That concludes our presentation today. We hope it was informative. And now, back to the studio. All right, thanks for watching that video. And now let's take a time out and see if we have any questions. Any questions?
Any questions from the audience?
No questions.
Nope. No questions.
Okay, Kenta, so you in the video briefly touched on bits and guides.
Yes.
Let's elaborate a little bit more for our viewers on bits and guides.
So the DPF-200, like we explained earlier, it uses interchangeable bits and guides. Could show you a close-up of what the actual guides look like. Those are the interchangeable guides that are used on the DPF-200. This one right in the middle is an example of a standard guide. This one is a shortened up guide and a curved guide. Now these two are examples of custom guides. As you can see, they have a different shape compared to the standard guides. Now, When would you use a guide that's shortened up like that? I'll show you here using one of our sample boards. So a regular guide fits in just fine on the tab. If it has enough spacing behind or in front of the tab, the standard guides will work just fine. But not all circuit boards are created equal, and not all tab locations are in the same location. Some tabs are located very close to the edge, and in those cases we can also make a shortened up guide, so it gives you that enough clearance behind the tab or in front of the tab. Okay. Another example of a custom guide, there you go, is when you use for the outer circular radius tabs. We would have to get a custom guide made so that it can fit the proper radius on the actual board.
So we would need your sample sent in.
Yes, that
So
would be
that would-
best. So we can get dimensions on the correct curvature of the board.
Okay.
And so that was the guides, and now the bits. This is there you go. This is an example of what the bits look like. These are your standard bits that come in a pack of 10. And again, the sizes of the bits and guides, we carry standard sizes ranging from 1.5 millimeters to 2.5 millimeters.
Okay.
And again, depending on the board, we can make custom applications as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Kenta.
Yep.
So we are going to put up a slide right now, and we're going to recap the CHP DPF-200 for you. So you should be seeing a slide up highlighting some of the main points of the system.
Yep. We went over the bits and guides a little bit. The bits, they actually rotate on a pneumatic spindle operating at speeds of up to 60,000 RPM. The spindle is, the on-off switch of the spindle is actually a foot pedal that you see down there. You turn it on by pressing onto the foot pedal switch. And the PCB dust you can see behind the guide is the vacuum tube, which is attached directly behind the guides. That collects the PCB dust directly at the source and collects it down into the dust filter
Right.
at the bottom of the table.
And make sure when you're replacing the filters, you put on your safety wear, including your glasses and gloves, because it is PCB dust.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. Other features are that the table is made of a sturdy steel frame construction, so that even when the spindle, when it's operating at speeds of up to 60,000 RPM, that nice sturdy construction gives the table minimal vibration. And the tabletop is ESD coated and also has a jack to plug in your wrist strap. So when the operators are handling these PCB boards, there are no concerns about electrostatic discharge.
Absolutely.
What else? There's also an external vacuum hose that's also attached to the vacuum pump, so that you can clean up any remaining particles or particles on the table. And last but not least, the heavy-duty casters on the table make it easy to lift up the table and move it from one location to another.
Yep. So that's a recap.
Have
they released a set version of parts and accessories?
Yes, we have. So there's one version with the table itself, and you can also get another version that comes with all of the bits and the guides as well.
I do want to touch on two main points of the CHP DPF-200 before we go.
Just to recap,
Yep, that I think our viewers should know.
Yes.
It has the same quality, cut, and capability as a high-end automated routing machine.
Yep.
So that's one. And the second, it's the DPF-200 comes at a fraction of the cost of what someone would invest in the automated routing machine.
Right.
So definitely take that into consideration when you're looking into this.
Right. And the reason why we can offer it at a fraction of the cost of those high-end automated routing machines is because it's, you still get the precision cut quality and the vacuum capability. But being that it's a manual machine and you manually run your circuit boards through the milling bits, we're able to offer it at a fraction of the cost, making it a manual system. And another good point is that it eliminates all the extra programming required on those high-end automated machines
There's
as well.
no programming required.
Very
so-
easy to use.
Absolutely. And if I can do it, you can do it.
That's right.
Well, happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
And until next time, make sure you
Keep your eye on Hakko.